What is up, bros and broettes? Welcome to another vlog, and today's vlog is about Waterton and doing the Bertha Lake day hike. I actually don't have a lot of experience with hiking. I'm not a big hiking fan, to be quite honest. So let's just enjoy the views while I tell you about my hiking experience. I've only done, this is the second hike in my entire life that I've done. The first one was Bear's Hump. It was also in Waterton, and it was a very, it was for beginners. It's an elevated climb, about 45 minutes up and 45 minutes down. But that was during pre-COVID, so before 2019. That was like my first hike, and then I haven't hiked since. So this is my second hike under my belt, and I thought it was going to be a very simple hike. I thought something very casual, but turns out it was actually one of the harder hikes that I've ever, well, I don't have a lot to compare it to, but it was a very long hike. This hike was about 6.5 hours, and I went with me, my buddy. As you can see here, he's actually a more experienced hiker than I am. He's probably done about 7 hikes, or this would probably be his 8th hike. And this is my second hike, and I thought it was just going to be something casual to just, ease my way into the harder hikes. But I guess that wasn't the plan. I kind of just went into this, blind, thinking it was going to be pretty simple, but it was a very, very hard hike to do. Luckily, I kind of prepared for it with, just water and snacks because it was a long day. We left here about 1:30, and it takes about 45 minutes to an hour to drive here, depending on how fast you drive. And that's a good thing about living so close to this national park, is that it's just, if you want to go for a hike, it's, an hour drive. And I don't know the population of Waterton, but it's very small. It's only open pretty much during the seasons, and it's open all season, but it pretty much closes down during the wintertime because there's just a lot of snow, and then it opens back up around this time in May. But there are people that live here, and it's super, super quiet, super cozy. If you're into like the super small town vibes, this would be a good place to kind of just chill out. And that waterfall's on the right. That's basically the first waterfall when you enter into Waterton, so that's considered a little hike, but I wouldn't count it as one because it's, just right there. But like I was saying, we left around 1:30. We got here at around like 2:20. So we technically started the walk around 2:30. And here we are, just getting to the entrance of the hike in Bertha Lake Falls. So it's about, to the falls, about a 2-hour hike usually, but we wanted to get to the lake, so estimated time 4.5 hours, moderate to semi-hard, but it took us 6.5, so 6.5 hours to finish because it was my very first hike to do, and I just wanted to enjoy the scenery. And for my friend, he only made it to the halfway mark and then he went back, so that was only like about an hour and a half, 2-hour hike to the halfway point and back. So we wanted to kind of do the whole entire lake because we both haven't done the lake ever. So I thought it was going to be pretty casual, but turns out it was a super hard hike for me because I'm not that experienced in hiking, and I wasn't fully prepared for that sort of hike. Got some nice scenery and some nice shots and some views here. The weather was very calm, not super windy, and it was very warm. And yeah, to the far left, you can see the town from above, and then behind it is Bear's Hump. That's another hike that people do. It's probably the beginner hikes, one of the main beginner hikes. We got to this nice little peak here for more views, not too far away from the town. But as you can see, the trees they're burnt because there was a fire at this park, a wildfire, so it's still recovering. And I think this happened like just a bit after COVID happened, so around 2020, 2021. But yeah, this place used to be very lush, a lot of greens, a lot of scenery. You can still hike around, but it's not the same as it was from when I first remembered it. If you can see down there, there's another trail that leads down to the water. That would be considered an easier hike as well, but we're walking further and further away slowly through the halfway point, which is going to be a waterfall. And if you look above, we're actually going to be climbing somewhere around to that peak as we get closer and closer to the halfway point, I should say. As I always enjoy seeing these little waterfalls, so we had to take a quick stop and a gander at the cool waterfalls that was nearby, which is actually we're getting pretty close to the halfway point. It's just pretty close by here. Got to be extra careful that I don't slip and fall. I wasn't prepared for coming down over here with running shoes. I basically wore running shoes on this hike because I thought it was going to be super simple, but you live and you learn. So at this point, we actually made it halfway to the halfway point, and this is Bertha Lake Falls. A lot of people will come here, take a picture, rest up, and then they'll turn it back around. And I think at this point we've been walking for a couple hours, but if you go further, it's a lot harder of a climb, so a lot of people don't do it. And here I am getting ready to walk through. Don't mind me, but I think she was Myron, and I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. Or she might on the waterfall, which is coming up here pretty quick. Very nice waterfall, very scenic. But we're going to continue further up And yeah, this is where most people turn around. But at this time of month, there was an avalanche, and it's a low grade avalanche that happened. But there was snow blocking the trail, and there was snow still up in the mountains around the lake, so you can't really walk fully around the lake. And on the way to the lake, there is snow overflowing through the trails, where it basically covers the trails, and it blocks the way to the lake. So you kind of have to adapt and risk your life a little bit, because you can slip and fall and kind of fall off the edge of the path. Well, you could actually fall off the cliff if you're on the wrong spot. But it was pretty dry over in this starting. We haven't started the full elevated climb, but here was very dry, and I thought this isn't so bad. But when we continue further, you'll see that it's going to get a lot more messy. And if you check out how high we're at right now, you can kind of get an estimated view of how high up we are, and we're going further than that. So there was a lot of trees and branches and other stuff just blocking the way to the lake, and we're still climbing. So you can see how high up we are, and yeah, the wildfire really took a toll on this portion of the hike. As you can see, the trees are very burnt up and bare. There's not a lot of greenage and foliage here in this part, but it does get a little bit more green later on. And if you look at the path, like it's starting, you can see where the avalanche was. It's blocking off the trail, and then because of the weather, it's melting the snow, which makes the trail really wet and muddy. And I didn't have any hiking shoes on. I was basically just wearing white runners, so my feet were wet, they were soaked, and I didn't get a good grip on the snow because I kept slipping because my shoes don't have any grip on them. Here you can see that the snow has completely buried the trail, and we're very high up, so if you slip and fall, you're kind of falling off this trail and off the cliff if you're in a certain part that doesn't have anything preventing you from falling off. And then on the way up still, now it's dry over here, which is like very confusing because it's dry over here, and then you'll hit another part that's very wet and muddy and full of snow. And I'm beat at this point. We're still quite a ways away from getting to the top, and I'm out of breath. The incline and elevation was super heavy for me. I'm not a huge cardio guy, but climbing up it's a different beast. So we're slowly getting closer, but as you can see, we still have a little bit more higher of a hike to go to get to the top. And there's more snow preventing us from going further. This part was very tricky because the snow was not fully packed, so when you step on it, you'd kind of like, it would break underneath your foot or your feet. And as you can see, like the snow kind of just fell apart under my foot, and I lost my balance a little bit. Here was a very tricky part because since the snow overflows the trail, if you fall, you don't just fall down. You kind of slide off the trail to the side, and then off the little cliff here. It was pretty scary actually. There was a lot of close calls. I actually did fall off the side of the trail on the way back, and it was not fun. I actually had to grab a tree to prevent myself from slipping off further because the snow kept carrying me off the trail and off onto the side. So I really had to concentrate on not fall and slip off the edge. So part way there, I had to cut off recording because I had to really concentrate. Because one false move, you're falling off the edge. But after many falls, many falls for me, finally made it. And at this point, I was like, was it worth it? You know, like the falling off the edge and falling on the snow and on my ass and on my back and almost, falling off the cliff. Was it worth it? And, I would say it was pretty much worth it to get to see this type of view. This lake is, on top of a mountain. And as you can see, the snow is still melting. So it's still covering the entire lake, so we couldn't walk fully around the full lake. So this is the only part we can get to without going through all that snow. Because the snow was up to our knees if you were to continue further. But this is the view. It's very nice, very scenic, very relaxing. You can definitely go swimming in it if you can handle the cold. But it probably would be a lot better in probably June or July and August. But there you have it. Thanks for watching, guys. If you made it this far, hope you enjoyed it and the views, and hopefully I can do some more hiking vlogs later in the future, maybe for the summer. But again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.